Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm Erin from the Bookish Craft House, and if you're new here, welcome. I'm super excited to be here today to share with you a tutorial for this adorable bunny pattern that I have created. It's a really cute, quick market make pattern. It is low sew, so the only sewing that is required is to sew on the ears. The tail is surface crocheted on, and it comes together really quickly. There's so many options for this plushie. You can make it in different colors, different style yarns. You could use a thinner yarn to result in a smaller plushie. You can use a thicker yarn with a thicker hook and have a much larger style plushie. And it's a really cute plushie to have. So let's get into the pattern. So for this project, you're going to need some yarn. You can use any weight yarn that you would like, any color that you would like. I am using Bernat Blanket, the Sparkle Edition. Feel free to use any type of yarn that you prefer. You're also going to need some type of yarn for the tail. I like to use a faux fur kind of yarn. It gives it a nice, really poofy tail. You can use any type of really kind of fuzzy or furry yarn would work. Or if you prefer, you can actually just make the tail out of the yarn that you're using to make the plushie. I'm using this white faux fur yarn. It's just from my local dollar store. It's not any brand name make. Another alternative is use a pom-pom for the tail. So that's also an option. And then you just hot glue gun it on. You're also going to need a pair of scissors. Definitely don't need ones these big, but any type of scissors will work. You're going to need a crochet hook in the size that will work with your chosen yarn. So since I am going with the Bernat Blanket, I am using a 6mm hook. You're going to need a stitch marker. This stitch marker is actually available in my Etsy shop. It is Gilmore Girls inspired and available now. You're going to need a tapestry needle that will work with the yarn that you have, and you're going to need a set of safety eyes. So this is a set of 12mm safety eyes that I'm using for my plushie that's being made with the Bernat Blanket. Depending on the style of yarn that you're using and the size that the yarn is, you might need to size up or size down your safety eyes. So for the first row, you're going to start with making a magic ring. And we're going to do 6 single crochets into the ring. Insert our stitch marker at the end of every row. For row 2, we'll be doing 6 increases all the way around for a total of 12 stitches. For row 3, we're going to do a single crochet followed by an increase, and we're going to do that all the way around, which will leave us with a total of 18 stitches. For row 4, we're going to do single crochets all the way around for a total of 18 stitches. For row 5, we're going to do another row of single crochets all around for a total of 18 stitches. For row 6, we're going to start ending the head. So for row 6, we're going to be doing a single crochet followed by a decrease, which will leave us with a total of 12 stitches. After row 6, I'm going to put some stuffing in the head just to help hold its shape. We'll still have time to add stuffing later, so you don't need to fully stuff it. I just like to put some in so that the yarn holds its shape a little better as I'm crocheting. For row 7, we're going to start making the body, so we're going to do single crochet followed by an increase all the way around for a total of 18 stitches. Put a little more stuffing in there to help hold the head shape. For row 8, we're going to do 2 single crochets followed by an increase all the way around for a total of 24 stitches. For row 9, we're going to do single crochets all the way around for a total of 24 stitches. For row 10, we're going to do another row of single crochets all the way around for a total of 24 stitches. For row 11, we're going to do a single crochet followed by a decrease all the way around for a total of 18 stitches. row 12, we're going to do decreases all the way around, which will leave us with a total of 9 stitches. Now we're going to stuff the body and the head. Make sure to stuff it firmly, but not too tight. And for the last row, row 13, we're going to decrease around and then do in the final stitch a single crochet. And this will leave you with 5 stitches. And then we are going to cut our yarn. We're going to finish it off. And I like to finish it off by pulling in the yarn tail into the last loop and pulling. And that way it kind of just helps seal that hole a little better without putting too much tension on the yarn, as we did do a lot of decreases here at the bottom. So we're going to take our tapestry needle, get the blanket yarn through, and I'm just going to sew that hole closed. Because of how we finished off, we don't have too big of a hole there, and we can really just weave in the remaining yarn. And then just hide the yarn tail. So now we have the body of the bunny completed, and next we're going to work on the ears, which are both going to be sewn on to the head. For the ears, we're going to start with a magic ring with 4 single crochets in the ring. For row 2 of the ears, we're going to do a single crochet followed by an increase, and we're going to do that twice for a total of 6 stitches. For rows 3 rows 4, rows 5, and rows 6, so a total of 4 rows. We're going to single crochet around in each stitch, which will be 6 stitches for 4 rows. End of the ear, we're going to leave a tail for sewing. About 6 inches long is enough. Oops. And again, I like to finish off by feeding the yarn tail through the last loop and pulling tight. And then in the next crochet loop here, I'll pull my hook through and just pull this yarn through, and it helps give it more of an evened and flat surface for sewing. Now you have to make 2 of these ears, so we're going to repeat the same steps that we did for this ear to make an identical second ear. So now that we have both of our ears, I like to figure out kind of the placement of where I want them on the head. So you can do them between rounds 2 and 3, which will give you kind of that look. You could do them even a little higher between rounds 1 and 2 for the straight up look. You can do them more up the side. I personally like the higher placement, so it's really up to you. So for this higher placement, you're going to sew the ears starting in round 1. It's going to encompass round 2 as well, and finish off in round 3. So I'm going to go ahead and sew on the first ear. Now I will sew on my second ear, and again the same placement, so just starting at the edge of that first round, encompassing the second round and finishing in the third round. Now the second ear is a little harder. You just want to make sure that it's aligned correctly with the first ear that you've already sewn on. have the body of our bunny done. As I had on the screen, the safety eyes can be added when the plushie is still open after you've made the head. I like to add my safety eyes at the end so that I get the exact right placement, and then I will hot glue gun them into place. So the eyes are going to go between rows 3 and 4. So row 1, row 2, row 3, and row 4. And you're going to put them pretty much just under the ears. They're about 2 to 3 stitches apart. And now we have eyes. The last step is adding a tail. So there's many different ways you can do this. You can use the yarn you used for the body and just do a surface bobble stitch on the back, or you can use some type of fluffy yarn like I'm going to use to give yourself a really nice fluffy bunny tail. I have also seen people just take a pom-pom and glue it on. That is also an option, but I'm going to go ahead with my faux fur yarn. So your tail is going to go on the back of the plushie around row 10. So this is our front with the face. We're going to turn it over and we're going to count down from the top to row 10. So we have row 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So this is round 10, and I'm going to go roughly in the middle of the plushie, and I'm going to insert my hook. I'm going to create a slip knot in my faux fur yarn. Pull that tight, and I'm going to pull up a loop and do a slip stitch to secure the yarn, and then I'm going to do a bobble stitch for the tail. So I'm going to yarn over, insert my hook, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through one loop. This yarn is so hard to work with. Yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull up a loop, and I'm going to do one more. Depending on if you want to do a 3-stitch bobble, a 4-stitch, or a 5-stitch, will just depend. It's completely up to you. It'll just make the bushiness of the tail a different size. So far I have done, I believe it's a 4-stitch, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to do one more. I'm going to do a 5-stitch bobble. I like when they're really poofy tails. So just going to insert the hook, and this fluff yarn is so hard to deal with, and finally pull through and chain that off. And just like my others, I'm going to cut the yarn and I'm going to finish it off. And then the way that I like to secure the tail is I'm going to take the yarn tail from the beginning and the yarn tail from the end. I'm going to tie them together pretty tight so it brings that seam down. And now both of these the ends can be weaved in and pushed into the plushie. So I'm going to try to get this on my needle here. Well, not an easy kind of yarn to thread. There we go. And I'm going to pull it through. And then this one as well, I'm going to do the same thing. So I'm going to thread it on the needle. And I'm going to sew in the end, or weave in the end, and push the remaining yarn into the plushie to secure. And there we have it. Here is our very cute, very easy to make bunny plushie, very low sew. You can add arms, you can do little bobble stitches here for arms, but to me, this is how I like how it looks. If you want to add a nose, take a piece of pink acrylic yarn or a color of your choice, and we're going to use that to embroider the nose. Now, since it's a nose, I don't want it to be too wide, so I'm only going to go through one stitch. And you can see I haven't glued the eyes down yet. Since this is an acrylic yarn and I'm using it on a plushie made of blanket yarn, I'm just going to run it through a couple times to give it a little more emphasis. Going to push in the ends to finish it off. And there we have it, our cute little quick make bunny. You can make this in a thicker yarn or a thinner yarn, a bigger hook, a smaller hook, and it will really change the size. You can, using a jumbo size yarn and maybe an 8, 9, or 10 millimeter hook, you're gonna get a much larger plushie than this one. It's got the cutest little tail. It makes for a great market make. I think this is a great Easter season or really any type of farmer's market make. You can make it in many different colors, many different options. If you have any questions or comments on this pattern, please make sure to comment below, and thank you so much for sticking around to the end of this video. Please think about liking and subscribing if you like this content and want to see more of it. I'll see you in my next video.